Hmm. Yeah. Good stuff. Good. 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 I like that. Trinae, how you doing? Welcome. Welcome. How you been? Good. 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 Well, welcome everybody. This is Trinae. We have Zach here, Natalia here. Everybody, introduce yourself. Drop a small message in the comment section of the school community, welcoming her. We have IG. They're here with us as well. We're going to dive right into it. I think the first thing I want to dive into is really just thank you everybody for showing up today. Thank you for participating. The next thing I want to talk about is like a market update. It's always good to really look at the market on a week-to-week basis to see how the market performs. One of the things that I learned that is a competitive advantage for people that have been in real estate 15, 20, 30 years. Being in real estate that long allows you to see that markets have cycles. They have performances. You start to understand how interest rates work, how internal things work, how external things shift the market, elections move the market. We're coming up on an election here. And when I think that when you first get into real estate and real estate investing specifically, small adjustments in the market can make you very fearful because we don't understand. So somebody will say, hey, man, homes are moving slow right now. They'll tell you that. And you'll say, oh, man, maybe I shouldn't be in investing. These things will make you react maybe not as accurately as you would like to or you should. What am I saying here? That our real estate journey is a process. And the longer we're in real estate, the more we learn. Zach was just talking about driving for dollars. The more activities you do in real estate, the more you really get closer to what and how real estate moves and how you should respond to the market from a day-to-day basis, annual basis. I learned from a very, very successful individual many, many years ago, and I didn't understand what he was saying when he said it. I probably was in real estate 2 or 3 years. He said, there's money to be made in every single real estate market. And I was like, well, no, because when the economy's down, you can't make money because nobody has a job. I just thought my basics of economics or understanding how things flow. And then I later found out that in every single market, money is being made, 100%. And so when you have, let's say, like a financial crisis or a down market, there are people that position themselves in a manner that allows them to take advantage of a down market. When markets are down, that's when the biggest opportunity, things are at a significant discount. But if we don't prepare ourselves in advance for something like that, we can't take advantage of such an opportunity. Then when markets are up, when there's low inventory, when interest rates are high, and it's a little bit hard to close on a deal, and inventory is tight because so many buyers are out there, you say, well, how do I make money? Like in this market right now, how do I make money on a flip when every flip that I'm seeing off market or online is getting 10 or 20 offers from cash players that are willing to make $20,000 just to keep their crews going on a flip, right? So there's money to be made in every single market. And the longer you stay in real estate and the more diverse you become in the ideas and concepts of real estate, that allows you to really have an appetite and an understanding of how you need to move forward in this market, the next market. And so we're always learning. Even if some of the things we're learning are small things, we're just adding them to our tool belt. And this will give us greater confidence to be able to execute in any and every market. Be prepared, remain under leverage. When things go left, we have a plan B to overcome these things, and we can sustain ourselves. This is all about sustainability as well. So when I think about market updates right now, what I'm seeing is as we get into the fourth quarter, you think about October, Halloween, you think about November, Thanksgiving, and December, you see the cycle of real estate that happens every single year. When we get into this time, you see people preparing for Thanksgivings. You see people preparing for Halloween. You're going to have multiple days off of kids going to school. Also, you'll find when we get into November and December, you'll see banks that are closed 2 and 3 days around Thanksgiving, 2 or 3 days around Christmas, and then you have New Year's right behind that. And then you see from maybe an economic and government standpoint, you see many people preparing for what they call like tax planning, right? Where there's some individuals saying, hey, I have an idea of how much I made this year. I'm going to be filing taxes this year coming up. You see some very maybe wealthy people, people that have high earnings, trying to actually buy real estate right now, so they can get depreciation and deductions as they roll into next year. You see some people doing some other different behaviors. So it's always a cycle. And then what I see is like around February, March, or the closer we get into the spring, you see people filing their taxes and preparing to execute on a new purchase. They call that the spring bounce. And these cycles happen every single year. Things just every November, December, you see agents, real estate agents, they take off work. They start to go on vacation and be with their family. You see sellers that have a house listed. Let's say they're living in the house. They're going to say, well, Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks. My in-laws coming. I have family coming. We really have to set Thanksgiving is going to be at our house this year. We have to set things up. We don't want to do any showings on our property right now. We don't want anybody coming in and out of our property. So they shut that down, right? Or when their agents reaching out to them on maybe a distressed property that they're selling, I'm not available to sign. I'm not available to go buy or sell or do those type of activities. And so also from a rental perspective, if you look at rental data, I'm just giving you guys many different concepts to kind of lay out this idea that real estate has annual cycles, and then they have market cycles that you have to pay attention to. And this can give you a competitive advantage. I have a flip that I'm just finishing up, and I hate that I'm going to be putting it on the market at the end of November, because I feel like, oh man, all the buyers are going to be sidelined. Now I'll get through it, but at least I'm aware that when I get to November, if my home doesn't move within the first 7 days, expect it. I'm not surprised, right? And so from a rental perspective as well, you see that most people don't want to move during this time of year. This is like the worst time to put a rental on the market as well. I don't want to talk in this huge circle, but I really want to nail down the concept of real estate cycles. Real estate cycles are very, very imperative. And the more we learn and the more we add that to our tool belt, the better we can be more tactical. So if you are looking for a flip and you're saying, hey, I'm ready to get into my first deal, I'm ready to make it happen, this is the time of year that you do strike. So you see a deal in November, you tie it up, you close it out December 1st. Well, you know it's going to take you 60 days to get this property flipped anyways. That means all of December, while everybody's taking time off, you're getting the house ready. January, you get the house ready. February 1st, you're ready to go on the market. It's the springtime. Individuals are filing their taxes. They have the income. They have these are people that have been planning to buy in the year 2025, right? Well, you're probably going to be one of the only properties out there when the market comes out that's flipped, fixed, and ready to go. And so that timing can work in your favor for investors like ourselves. There's less competition on deals right now. I spoke to a wholesaler yesterday, and she has about 6 properties that she's putting out there. She's like, man, I don't have any buyers. I do. I said, send me over some properties that you think are really, really good in Sacramento and Stockton, the Bay Area, and I'll send them to my community. This is the time that we strike, okay? Hey, Trey, can I get a charger on this laptop? Yeah, please. So that's my brief market update, right? For all of our Instagram community, this is DM 101. We're all about growing real estate, masterminding, connecting. We do we do quarterly meetups. We do podcasting. We do a lot of things that really help us get into our first deal and really educate us from a very basic level. And if you are interested in something like that and you want to grow to our community, please go and send us that DM and say DM 101 or DM 201, and we'll make sure we circle back around you. So today what I want to discuss are some basics, really. And a lot of you may know, and a lot of you may not. Forget my pen. So inspections. Let's go there. Inspections. When looking at properties, we have been analyzing deals in our 201 and identifying what is a deal, what it takes to execute a deal, and really determine the value of a deal. And then the ARV, after we buy it and repair it, what can we sell it for? What are these projections and the whole story that's behind that? So one of the key components I was thinking about this week as I was preparing for our course was inspections. They seem to be lighter for some people. Some people seem to have a pretty good handle on them. And then others say, hey, I don't know where to start. Well, when buying a property, whether it's a flip or Airbnb or a long-term hold, there's really in California specifically, there's four. Some people say three. There's really four inspections you're going to see. You're going to see a pest, a home, a roof, and an appraisal. Pest, home, roof, and an appraisal. Now, a pest inspection, right? A pest inspection is, and let me just shoot it to you like this. When I go see a property, I walk the property. These are things that I'm seeing physically that I may or may not know. There are things within a property that you still need to investigate that are high ticket items. Why do we get inspections done? We get inspections done because we want to find out, outside of what we see, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, maybe one broke window and a broken fence, are there other things in this house that we won't know because we're not pest inspectors or home inspectors that could essentially change your mind? Had we known this information, will we offer something different or would we not offer anything at all? So what happens is when you hire a pest company, you get in contract, you hire a pest company is doing several things. Some of the most important things that they look for is water and active infestation. Why water? Water does things like this. You have a plumbing leak. If you have a raised foundation or a slab, you have P-traps, you have water running through this house. And leaks on the water can lead to indications of even foundation issues or dry rot. The one I see most common is the dry rot. When you have water gutters that aren't appropriate or water resting on the side of the house, it eats away at the wood. And so you can see big ticket items on a pest inspection from water damage of $7,500, $1,500. Then you get into infestations, mice. You get into drywood termites, and you get into, there's one other termite. There's drywood termites and there's subterranean termites. Those are the two. I go over those briefly because when you're doing an inspection on a property, because you're trying to establish the value, if you look at, hey, I'm going to buy this property and flip it, do this to the bathroom, do this to the kitchen, I'll spend $10,000 on the floor, bam, I got it. $40,000, we'll get this property done. Well, when you don't do the pest inspection or identify those other factors of not only the water damage, but the pest damage, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. More specifically in California, these drywood termites and subterranean termites, you can't always see them. But the type of damage they do inside the walls of a house, the 2x4s, they eat away at the wood. The cost of the preparation to repair that wood, you may have to remove some sheetrock, get in there, replace that wood, put the sheetrock back on, stucco it, tape it, and then repaint it. That could be a $10,000 number. Easy. I'm doing one of those right now, and I'm about $14,000 in it. I'm not surprised because I know it was there. And then you get these things called subterranean termites. Subs mean they go underneath the ground. You really can't see those, right? Dries and subs, you can't see them. Not always. And I'm sure you guys have seen, no matter where you live, a house that's tinted, right? So the infestation is so bad that they have to put a tint on the house and fumigate it. They also have a process called a heat treatment where they seal up the house. They put this mechanism in there and increase the internal heat of the house so that it kills these termites. Well, those things can be very costly, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, just to get rid of the termites. And then you still have to go in there and fix the wood or any of the damage that they've done. And so why do I get into this? Because I do see in my conversations with my community right now, I see somebody will shoot me over because we're analyzing deals. Like, I'm so proud. Everybody's analyzing deals. And they'll say, Jake, hey, I need some quick advice. I'm looking at a property. I'm analyzing the deals. I got the comps. I don't have to give them any information. They give me all the information. Comps are this. Repairs is this. Hey, it's about 1,200 square feet. I think I'm going to pay about $7,000 for the roof. What do you think about that number? I go back. I say, I think it's about 11 because you need gutters and downspouts. But you're pretty accurate. But these are things we can see. What about the things that we cannot see? These termites and that wood damage, you cannot see that always. And so when you walk a house and you look at the cosmetic improvements that you're going to be doing, you may be on the money. But short of this pest inspection, if you don't identify these things, when you flip this property and put it back on the market, 100% chance the new buyer, we're probably going to go FHA or conventional because that's where we're going to get the bulk of our earnings from, or our larger, somebody that puts a larger purchase price on there, right? their agent in that relationship with their agent is required by state law of California to encourage their buyer to do all these inspections. And if they say, I don't want to do them, that buyer will have to fill out this document that says, I refuse to perform inspections, even though my agent suggested that I really should. Nobody's going to want to sign that, and they shouldn't. And anybody would want to spend $150 to inspect a property and learn and determine if there's some findings that they don't see naturally or they're not aware of. So when they do that pest inspection, if you hadn't done it, that report comes back out and the inspector says, yeah, there's $6,000 in dry rot, and there's another $3,500 in active termites, and it needs to get done before the closing. If you go VA, you accept the VA offer, they 100% need to get what's called a Section 1 pest clearance. All those water and pest items we talked about, the seller has to provide a clearance from a company saying that it was inspected and everything was mitigated. So if you don't catch this on the front end, the consequences from a financial standpoint and even a time standpoint as well can be very, very significant. And that's why we're going to do those things. Everything inspection. Let's dive right into the home. Home inspection is a little bit different than a pest inspection. And again, for folks like Zach and a few others, you guys have done these things, but it's worth the time to not only share with individuals that are diving into their first deal, but anybody else that's trying to grow in real estate. And to remind us that we're not going to cut corners. We're going to make sure we get our inspections. When we write an offer on our property, we're going to put a contingency in there, meaning that, hey, I want to buy this flip, but I want 5 days to be able to walk the property really quickly to ensure that everything that I'm committing to is something that I'm aware of. So the first one I do is the pest. Now, I've been flipping for some time, so some of these things I can catch pretty quickly. A pest inspection sometimes could be a waste of time for me, but more particularly, a home inspection for me is a waste of time. But something that you should do as you're first getting into real estate investing. Why? A home inspector, very different than a pest inspector. They're looking at structural things, the foundation, do windows open and close. They're looking at electrical outlets. They're plugging in their tester, making sure all the outlets are running. They're opening up the electrical panel, right? There's some electrical panels that are more prone to fires, and insurance companies won't insure the property if you don't swap that out. They're making sure that doors close and things of that nature. And some of the things that they're doing overlap with pest inspection. For me, most of the distressed properties that I'm buying, I know is probably going to be a full gut. I'm pulling out all the walls. I'm pulling out all the insulation. I'm pulling out all the electrical, and I'm putting all new components in. So I don't need somebody to give me that information. But for what a lot of us are doing and what I'm coaching pretty frequently is on our first couple of flips, how about we get properties that don't need a full overhaul? Meaning that we can do a light flip. We don't have to go find talent to lift the home. We don't have to go find talent to restructure the home. We can do things like do some flooring, replace some windows, maybe touch a little bit of the electrical components, and then put it back on the market. It's so important for your first couple of flips to get a home inspection. Why is it? Home inspection is about like $300, right? So Zach was talking earlier about turning over every rock. He's driving for dollars in his community. He said, I'm door knocking. I'm just getting out the house and I'm doing the functions of real estate investing because I want to stay tuned. I want to stay very close to this process and even pick up the small nuances as I grow. When you go with the home inspection, and this is like Natalia, I really encourage you to do something like this. This is what I did. When I first got my first flip, I got a home inspection. He walked the property. I didn't even know the question to ask him. My second flip, naturally, I'm going to go with the same guy because he was pretty nice to me. Price was fair. But when I went to the second flip that I worked on, I got the home inspection. As he walked the property, I was there. And I said, hey, this is my second flip. I don't know much. What do you think about this? So what he did, he almost like held my hand and said, come on. You see this right here? Come on. You see this right here? Come on. You see this right here? This is how much it'll cost for this. You'll see most home inspectors have done flips before. Most home inspectors have been inspecting for a long time. They know a lot about homes. This is a crash course for a $350 fee to inspect a property that you need to know the integrity for anyways. You go with your notepad and you ask the right questions. This makes your business increase the ability to have scalability Because when you gain knowledge from a home inspector, your next flip, you may not need a home inspection. Even if you need a home inspection, we know we're always fighting for time, and we want to increase the ability for us to be successful in a flip. Meaning everything that you learn from that home inspector about looking at panels, about the little, there's like this little plug you can plug into electric outlets. You get at Home Depot for like 13 bucks. When you plug it in, it goes green or it goes yellow. This tells you if the outlet works. This also tells you if it's grounded, right? If it's grounded, that's what makes a home safe, right? When there's water and it's not grounded, you have possibility of electrocution and fires. What they can teach you, you can go buy your own $13 outlet, have like a little kit when you go to flips. I have one. I have a flashlight, I have a screwdriver, and I have one of these little testers. So when I go to a flip, I walk it real quick, and I say, if this is going to be a light flip, what I want to know is how is the electrical? I take my little tester out and I plug in a few walls. Now, if I walk a flip and take the information that I've been scaling from the home inspections, and I realize, well, I already learned about the foundation. I learned about these cracks. I learned about looking underneath the crawl space of a house and see if there's water underneath there. I can already tell based off the information I learned for 350 bucks, this is probably going to be more than I want to do in the first place. So I'm going to take this off the list and I'm going to go to the next flip. I'm going to go to the next off-market deal. I'm not going to waste my time because a lot of this information I already know because I learned from here. The other thing is that 350 bucks can provide so much clarity for you because, again, walking a property with a home inspector will give you a general idea of price. And so when writing your offers, there's things that won't be a surprise to you. When you thought, I'll do floorings, I'll do kitchens, I'll do a little bit of wall patching, and I'll paint and be out of here. But the information you're going to learn from that home inspector, it's going to have you a little more molecular. And so when you write an offer and you come up with an idea of what your cost of repairs will be or the scope of work will be, you won't get caught surprised. When writing offers, I oftentimes find myself coming in second and third place. I mean, I'll write an offer and somebody else will get the deal. When you first get into real estate, like, man, I didn't get the deal. That's not what I think. When I write an offer and I do all my math and I understand the scope of work and what I'm committed to, because I've had many home and pest inspector relationships and my experience continues to grow. When I don't get the deal, I always like to go back to the agent or whoever had the off-market deal and I say, hey, what'd you end up getting for it? Oh, your offer was $250. We ended up getting $285 for it. Well, what I know in my head is I know I use all the information I got from a home inspector. I know what I pay for labor. I know what it costs. There's a very good chance that person that was number one, that got the property, they're not going to make any money. And I'm not happy that they're not going to make any money, but my skill set and the tools that I add to my toolbox by paying $350 for a home inspection a few times allowed me to see some things that I'm confident that this other person didn't see. And I would rather be number two, not get the deal, than number one, get the deal and lose all my money, have a headache, get into things that were unforeseen. And so as I conclude with the home inspection, I want to let you know, we're not just getting home inspections so we can determine the condition of the house. And home inspectors don't know everything anyways. They know a lot. You'll learn different things from different home inspectors. But by taking that approach, by saying, on my first flip, I'm paying the $350, not because I just want him to inspect this property. I'm paying the $350 because when he gets there, I'm going to be there. And in fact, before I even get there, I'm going to call him. His name is John, right? Hey, John, hey, this is Jacob. I called you last week for the home inspection. Yeah. Are we still on today at 2? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to swing by Jamba Juice. Let me grab your Jamba Juice. What do you drink? Oh, man, no, please, let me get you one. Okay, sure. You want the Mango Go-Go? Me too. I'll take 2. So then when you get to your inspection, I mean, I always love to try to, lead with generosity. You give somebody a Jamba Juice and they're sipping on it and they're walking the property. You're saying, hey, John, do you mind if I walk behind you, take a few notes? I'm learning, I'm growing in real estate. Sure, come on. That's $350 for a Harvard education of inspections. And also now your relationship with John is in a position to where, let's say you go to another property and you're scaling that one and you don't know if you want to close on it and pay the inspection. Why don't you take pictures, text them to John? You haven't written an offer. Hey, John, I'm thinking about tying this property up. I see this electrical underneath the ground of the property. I'm sending you over some pictures. What do you think? Oh, let me see. Yeah, I think you got a problem there. This is what I would do. I have an electrician. Give him a call before you call me. Before I go out, give him a call. So those are like the small things that can really take you to a whole nother level, save you so much time, and gain so much value as you're growing in real estate. Then we look at the roof inspection. Roof inspections are important. Roofs are high ticket items. You typically have 2 or 3 really high ticket items every time you're scaling any property. Most of the properties that we're flipping have to at least be 10 years old, because who would be flipping a property that's 4 or 5 years old, right? So 10 years or better, most of the time a little longer than that. But roofs, there's like 3 common roofs. There's a composition shingle roof. That's the one that they look like little pieces of sandpaper. Those are called comp roofs. Then you have a tile roof. You have a wood shake roof. Those are wooden roofs. Am I missing one? You have roof. And then you have these what are called PVC roofs. They're flat roofs with looks like white paper on them, right? When you look at roofs as you're growing in real estate and gaining flips, one of the things I would also tell a lot of you, stay away from flat roofs. Stay away from flat roofs. They're probably one of the roofs that have the biggest freaking problems. And people that know about them really stay away from that style of house. I personally won't buy a house with a flat roof. I want a pitch. I want that water to run off it. But roof inspections are important because roofs are very costly, AC units are very costly, and then electrical panels are very costly. All 3 of those not only are costly, but you find your end user, as we're looking at our buy box and our trajectory of processing our flip process and putting it back on the market, somebody will always pick you apart for that roof, AC, and the electrical panel, right? Your average roof really starts at 10 grand, no matter how much the square feet are. And then you need gutters, and then you need downspouts. So you can always expect to pay at least 10, depending on your average square foot of a home. Well, if you don't properly inspect a roof, the consequences of that is somebody's going to ask for a new roof. If you didn't know the condition of the roof and you fix the interior of the property, and then you begin to exit, put it on the market, and everybody keeps questioning this roof, you can be in a position where you have to put a brand new roof on. So roof inspections, you can usually get them for like $100 to $150. They're worth it. Now imagine you look at the roof and you know the roof is in very bad shape. Well, you can just automatically assume that, hey, I'm going to be repairing this roof. So I'm just going to put in my estimate an average cost of a roof, 12 grand. And now when you look at your repairs, you've already factored that in. I won't go too heavy on roof inspections, but I would just tell you again, get a roof inspection. Tile roofs, very, very expensive. Don't let anybody just walk across the roof once you close on it. That's with a tile roof. Once they start cracking the tiles, you have a big problem. And we talked about the flat roofs as well, right? Those are just something to think about. The last component is appraisal. This is very important as well. Why is that important? Because an appraisal isn't something when we're getting into our flip that we're necessarily getting for ourselves. Some hard money companies will require an appraisal, a drive-by appraisal, a desktop appraisal, or even a formal appraisal. But naturally, because we know we're getting the house at a discount, we know that it should meet appraisal. The problem and trick I find with appraisals for inspections is when we look at the ARV, we talked about that many times, right? The after repair value. When you buy a flip and you perform the improvements on it, you understand your buy box, you understand your process. You've done very good improvements, very good craftsmanship. You put granite countertops, tile backsplash. I mean, you really did a very good job on this property. Even the paint colors look very good. You have curb appeal. Well, we always talk about comps and ARV, meaning once we buy the property, we want to know very clearly, what does it look like when we exit this property? What are other homes going for? And far too often, I see individuals that are getting into flipping, they look at the best case scenario. So they'll say, hey, I'll buy this property at $200,000. I looked at my comp. Most of the time, they don't even look at the comps. They say, hey, I found a flip. They want $200 for it. I'm going to buy it. Well, what are comps? What's the ARV on the property? I don't know. Well, that's one of the very first things we want to know. What are homes going for? Because this is going to determine how much profitability and the expenses that are going to have to go into this property, and if those two make any sense at all. When we look at ARV, what we're being very conservative about is when you buy a house for 200,000, you see the comps, they go in a range, low, medium, and high. Most people naturally going to go with the high. So, I mean, I saw 2 houses sell for 350, one sell for 355. So, my ARV is 355. That's not always the case. We just talked about how tight things get around the fourth quarter, November, December, and January. You may not be able to attain the high end of the market because there may be a lot of homes on the market in December, but not enough buyers. Interest rates may have done some things that make it more difficult for people to get pre-approved. There could be a variety of things that take place in cyclical markets and a cyclical behavior that we talked about that can affect your ARV. What you can get in July may not be as strong in December. We're keeping our ears to the streets. We're turning over every rock. We're adding more tools to our toolbox. So understanding ARV is important, but one of the things I always want to encourage you to do is look at the things that you've learned about cyclical markets and market behaviors. More than anything, when you see you bought a house for 200K, right? You bought it for 200K, right? And comps, as we say, they go low, medium, and high. Comps, they go in a range, right? Low, medium, and high. You always, for me, when I buy a house for 200,000 and I'm doing some improvements, whatever the low is, that's what I'm shooting for. So if at exit in a neighborhood in a 1 mile radius, you see homes that are improved, let's say mine's at a 3.2. You see 3.2s going for 290, 315, and then 350. When I do my math, I'm not saying I'll purchase at 200,000 and my exit will be 350. This is best case scenario. I'm usually typically at the low or the medium. I'm saying if I buy this property and I do everything I'm going to do, my ARV is somewhere in between here. I'll even call it 300K. If it pencils out with the purchase, the soft cost, the hard cost, right, and any other expenses that may accrue, and I can still be profitable around 300K, I think it's a great deal. I think it's a great deal. What I find when I go back to appraisal is this. When you put the house on the market, you do the improvements, you put the house on the market, the appraiser comes from the buyer's agent or the buyer's lender, the buyer's bank. You don't have any relationship or any say-so about what they believe the true value of the property is. Now, you do have data to support your findings, but not all appraisals are created equally, and not all appraisals will probably tell the story the way you tell the story, meaning you say, I did this, I did some great improvements, and I should be able to get this 350K. Many times I bought a property, did some great improvements, and I was shooting for 350K, and the appraiser came back in and said, "No, you're worth 320." I said, whoa. That's $30,000 disparity. I need that 30. And what they said, well, yeah, no, you have comps, but the comps you're using are further out than a mile. The comps that you're using, for some reason, we're not going to utilize them. We found some other properties that are around 320, and this is where your value is going to be. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I can't afford to leave a projected $30,000 on the table. But when I keep my expectations conservative and I say, hey, I'm shooting for around 300,000, and the appraiser, I buy it for 200,000, do all the improvements, put it back on their market, and then the appraiser comes in at 350. But I was shooting for 300,000. I'll take that extra 50 all day and twice on Sunday. So never mind my specific math example. Here's the takeaway. Understand that appraisals have to be done on properties, especially when our end user is an FHA or conventional traditional lender, right? And we have no control on that appraisal. And we may be biased on what we think our value is. Most of the time we are, because we work very hard. What it took to get this house from where it's at to where it is, was very, very difficult, but we did it. And we fell in love with the journey. We made the right sacrifices, and we put a lot of work into it. But just because that happened, the appraiser doesn't always recognize that. That holds no value. And you never want to find yourself in a position where you go through this journey of a real estate flip, and because your projections were on the high end of the market and you don't accomplish that, you're at a loss for money. Or you forget not even making a profit, you're running negative. That's not where you want to be. So the name of the game is understanding how appraisals work and understanding that it's better to be conservative in our projections, right? So it's one of those things where they say under promise and over deliver. Under promise and over deliver. So we're going to suggest ourselves to be at the low medium range. But when we exit and we get a real strong appraisal, we'll over deliver to ourselves. We'll over return ourselves. And we're setting the right expectation. And we'll never be mad at taking more money. Also understand, we talked about this probably about 2 weeks ago, in which we were analyzing a deal. The community was on live. And the property was in a more rural area, kind of like a country area. And the purchase price was somewhere around $1 million. It looked like there could be a lot of potential profit in this property if you look at a few of the comps. And the ability to make this house really nice, you can add an ADU, do a lot of creative plays. But like I always coach, when you're getting into flips, you want to buy flips in areas that you're not going to have to struggle to identify and prove other comparisons, other properties that have closed with similar square footage and similar characteristics that an appraiser can easily collect and give you that type of value. When you get into country properties, these properties can be 3 and 4 miles apart. This one sold for 1.1, this one sold for 1.6. And you're saying, well, if I get it for 700,000, that one sold for 1.6, there's a whole lot of money to be made. Well, that means you're going to put that in the hands of the appraiser because these properties aren't like for like. And there's not a large data of previously sold properties that can help you with your fight improving the value of the property. The other thing I look at when I look at end user and appraisal components and properties that we want to choose to flip, we're not always looking at how much money we can make. I like to buy properties and improve properties in areas that have a very strong demand of buyers. Meaning properties around schools, good school districts, just even heavily populated cities, where when I put it on the market, there are going to be a multitude of individuals that are interested. You go buy a property in the country for 700,000, put some money into it, put it back on the market for 1.1. Well, I mean, I don't know too many people that are buying 1.1 properties. I don't know a lot of people that have the income to buy 1.1. So why would I put myself in that position that makes it more difficult for me to get the property back on the market and sold so I can continue to scale my process? That's just not something I would be interested in. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, and so that's what I have. Inspections. Let's do a quick review. Inspections are not only important for properties, but inspections can add to your journey. When you take a pest inspection, home inspection, roof inspection, and you work alongside these inspectors, this allows you to tighten up your skills and improve your knowledge as you're looking at properties, analyzing properties. It increases the speed and give you a closer projection of what it's going to take for you to improve each property. You'll get to one point where you actually don't need the inspector to go out there. You just need to send them no information. Look, I have a house. Here's the address. It's 1,300 square feet. You can look it up on Google. How much would you charge me to improve the property? They're gonna say, oh, it depends on the pitch. I'll give you the address. Just look it up on Google Earth is what they'll do. They can look it up on Google Earth, measure the squares on the roof, and they can tell you right then how much it's gonna cost with a picture. Complete tear off. Supposing there's not a significant amount of dry rot underneath the roof and around the fascias, this is how much I'll charge you. So instead of waiting around, you can get your information, your data quickly so you can execute quickly because as we know, success loves speed. So what I want to do is open this up for Q&A. IG, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the comment section. Let's start with school first. Anybody in our school community have any questions? Let me see. Zach, you there? You can hear me? You don't have any questions by chance, do you? Right. By aggressively, are you saying that correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that the price that I put it on the market is going to be a lower price had I put on 100%. What I see very frequently. Yep. Yep. Hmm. 100%. 100%. Yeah. So what Zach's saying is, let's give this example. I bought the property at $200,000. I put, I don't know, let's call it $50,000. And then see, when I go on the market, 350 would be ideal. Is where I want to be. That's what the best houses that have sold were able to achieve. And I believe my improvements, because when I purchased this property, I already saw this property close, and I use this as my comp. So I understood how well they did the kitchen. I understand how well they improved the flooring and windows, and to what extent. So my whole goal is to mirror this property, but I'm not going to expect, or I'm not going to count my eggs before they hatch and say that not only will I get this property, I will get this amount. I have to think about the things that could prevent me from getting this 350,000. Market cycles, time of the year is one of the things. If interest rates move from the time I bought it, when this one was sold, until the time I'm selling it 90 days later, did interest rates spike? What are the other factors that are out there? And if anybody, a lot of your parents, and I just remember me growing up, I'm sure you guys had had a similar situation. Around November, December, my mom was working her butt off trying to make sure that we had food for Thanksgiving. And then I have five brothers and five sisters. So Christmas was always one of those things where my mom tried her best. And sometimes Christmas was just us being together. And so when you see parents, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you see around that time of year a lot of money going out because parents are trying to make it happen for the family, their kids. It's just like that. And so when you get to December, if we already know that for a $300,000 house, your closing costs could be about 17 grand, right? Let's call it $20,000. It is very difficult to save $20,000 for me, right? So if Christmas comes around, I've been saving all year. I got about 16 grand, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas hits. I can imagine myself going into that $20,000 and spending 3,000 on the kids, spending another $1,000 on Thanksgiving. We're going to decorate the house. We're putting up lights. And if you're anything like my mom would have took, if she had $1,000 in her savings, she'd take out $200 and she'd find a family to help out. When we didn't have a little, she did a lot with a little. And so that money can get chopped down very quickly, especially around this time of year. And a lot of people are waiting for the next year to file their taxes so they can get the return that they deserve. So when we think about timing of the market and we look at these components, if you're going into the market, the season we're in right now, and you're trying to be more aggressive, like Zach's saying, hey, price it lower. Give people more incentive because there's probably less money out there, less people looking. It's just less competition, right? So how can we increase our odds of us being the house that the few people out there that are writing offers, we're that person? Zach's saying that, hey, when you put it on the market, put it on the market between that 290 and 315. So instead of putting it on the market at 350, you put yours on the market for 300,000. Everybody else, because the way they calculated their math, the goal was always 350. So you go on Zillow or you go on Realtor and you see 3 2s in this area, 350, 350, 350, 300,000. And this house actually looks better and or is comparable as the ones that are being listed at 350. So now when the few people that are out there looking for property call their agent and say, I want to go look at some property, they all run to this one. They run to this one, they fall in love with the price, and they write the offer. But then me, I'm the agent selling this property. I go back to them, I said, man, I got 5 offers on this property. Nobody wrote on the other properties that were 350. They thought that was too high. They didn't even go see the property. They fell in love with this number and they begin their process of writing offers on this deal. So now, because I got multiple offers, I go back to the buyers and I say, hey, I got multiple offers. Do you want to increase your offer? Well, the wife says, I really, really want the house and I want to move in by Christmas. We're in November 1st. Let's write it strong. Let's go up $30,000. Well, that puts you at 345. That's so realistic. That's 345. If 350 was our number, they write it at 345, we accept the offer. Meanwhile, these properties that are 350 in this market, because we have to watch the market cycles, these are things we add to our tool belts, and we understand appraisals and these inspections, right? These properties that were 350, that were equally nice properties, they've sat on the market all of November. And then they got into December, and nobody's really looking at property. Agents aren't even answering their phone. They're on vacation. They're in Hawaii with their kids. So then what do? So Zach is absolutely correct. This is only a snapshot of a real estate cycle, but I thought it was very, very fitting since we're in the fourth quarter to kind of talk about the performance so you can be very knowledgeable about that and say, hey, listen, as I'm getting into property, how am I pricing the properties that I'm buying? And how should I be writing offers? Is it scarcity right now? When I see a property that I like, should I be very, very aggressive with the offering? Or should I say, listen, you guys want 200? I'll do 180, or I'll take second place, like Jacob said, and see somebody else pay the 200. I definitely think this is the type of year where coming in second place is not a bad thing. We need very, very good deals, and we understand that this is the time to get them. Probably not the best time to sell. It's always, you can always sell. Probably not the best time to get the most money you can get for a property. I think spring is the best, but this is definitely the time that we get good deals and you see stuff sitting on the market and sellers having some more fear in their hearts and in their minds. And you writing something very conservative or low is something that you probably can definitely achieve. Who else has a question? You have any questions on IG trade? Trina, you have a question by chance?
In an area.
Okay, no, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. We have a question from IG. Somebody on IG asks us, where do we find, how do we connect with individuals that are wholesalers? And I would say, great question. Great question. I would say this, that if you're looking for wholesalers, one of the best ways to start is go to the Meetup app. Go on your phone, pull up your apps and put in Meetup. Meetups have a list of local, wherever you're located, of local real estate groups, individuals in real estate, lenders, hard money players, investors, you name it, real estate agents that come together. That's one of the place to really get in front of wholesalers, because getting the list of wholesalers is one thing. Being able to build a relationship with the wholesaler so that you can negotiate on great terms and really play that to your advantage is another thing. So I would hop on the Meetup app. I'd also start with Facebook groups. There are a number of different Facebook groups out there. But prior to that, I would also get very, very clear about my buy box. The items and the criteria within my scope of investing, the location, the price, the scope of the work, things of that nature. We get very, very clear about your buy box. And then also you can go on IG, you can go on my Instagram, go to my followers and people I follow and just put in wholesaler. And a variety of wholesaling names will pop up. Give them a follow and send them a DM and say, hey, my name is, I'm looking for deals in this area. Here's my buy box. Do you have anything for me? Simple as that. Any more questions in our DM 101? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good stuff. Good. 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 All right. I got a question from Michael. When partnering with two other investors on your first deal, one is planning on putting in the capital required, and the other is finding the deal, underwriting, etc. Would you say it's still a one third, one third, one third split of ownership, and how would you structure it? Good question. So Michael's asking, how would I structure a deal if I'm investing on a flip and I have more than one person? It's more than just me. There are two partners in this deal. The first thing I understand is what's the difference between like a JV and a true partnership, right? When you're JVing a deal, you are collaborating with the individual, and you're identifying a property, you're raising the capital, you're executing under some terms. You probably put it in writing. When you have a true partnership, that's a structured business. So very likely you guys have created an LLC and you have a business plan, you have bylaws, you really have it formed. So understanding the difference is very important. But when you do partner and you link up with individuals and you're trying to achieve a goal, Michael's asking, hey, based off the scope of work of every individual, what is fair for the split of the net profits? And very likely what's fair about the individual's responsibilities. Why I bring up the difference between just a joint venture and a true partnership is because one of the things Michael says is one of the people is going to put the money up. Well, if the person that puts up the money is also going to put themselves on risk on the loan and be responsible for other components, that is a lot of responsibility. Every individual needs to understand their scope of responsibility and their the liability that they're taking on. But all in all, in short, Michael, my answer to you is this: anytime you're connecting with individuals, the terms and agreement of what needs to be done by each individual and how much money is being made and split, that's all negotiation. There might be one person that says, hey, I'll sign on the deal and I'll put the money up. Just give me a 15% return on my investment, which is significantly more than what I'm getting in the bank right now. I don't care what you guys do. I don't care how you get it done. I'll put up 200K. Just give me 15% back. And so, Michael, to your answer, it's all negotiable. There are some, I guess, industry standards, right? But it's very, very hard to negotiate who gets what until you go through your first deal and understand how much each thing has value to you, you know? And so in short, that's it. We're winding down, third base headed home. I want to thank everybody for joining today. I think that, again, we went over pest inspection, home inspection, roof inspections, and appraisals. Those are all very key components. We're going to be hopping back on live next Sunday, diving into another good topic. IG, thank you all for coming out as well. We appreciate you. Go ahead and comment DM101 if you guys like to join our community and go a little deeper.
Yes or no question. Do you suggest adding additional rooms to a property? Just a quick yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. We're good.
The question is, do I suggest adding additional rooms or bathrooms to a property? Yes or no? Yes. All right, you guys. Love, peace, and hair grease. Thank you all. See you soon.
There you go. Go to StreamYard and click End Stream at the top. Click End Stream at the top right.
End stream. Set outro video. No.